What is up? What is up, YouTube? How y'all doing? Yeah. Check it out without a doubt. Hey, we trying to see what this bad boy is all about. How a homeless man, come on now, if a homeless man can do it, you can figure it out. Your why. You have to have a strong why. Why are you doing this? Well, my why is this. I don't want to go back to work. I done retired and I'm done working. I would sit here and do YouTube videos all day long, figure out which niche is bigger or not while we keep pushing these videos out. And right after this intro, we're going to get deep into it. Let's check it out.
Growth's got a formula most never learn. You don't need luck or talent, structure is earned. If you're ready to build and you know it's your turn, start with the 4 free videos. Earn as you learn. Click on the more below to sign up.
Click on the link below to sign up for the 4 free videos. Now, check this out, man. If you are really trying to push a YouTube channel, you got to be very, very wise, strategic moves and different things. You have to be entertaining. You have to bring value. Most importantly, you have to keep the people coming back. Find your why. Why are people coming back to your channel? And you will find your answer. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Let's see how this man got 300,000 subscribers. Let's check it out, man. Here we go.
This is the story of Robin Suzuki, a creator who turned his homelessness in Japan into one of the most compelling, long-running story arcs on YouTube. And more importantly, the success of this channel reveals something that a lot of creators miss. The channel didn't just grow because it magically hit the algorithm. The channel hit the algorithm in the first place because it left people asking one question video after video. What's going to happen to this guy next? Now, before we get into the strategies, it's important to note that this particular YouTube channel, Nomad Push, was actually not the first YouTube channel that Robin dabbled with. This matters because Robin wasn't just a beginner figuring it all out for the very first time. He did have some experience to lean on because Robin and a friend of his had a Japanese skateboarding channel. During the COVID lockdowns, this channel took off, and it makes sense. A lot of people were stuck at home, they were trying new hobbies, and skateboarding content was thriving on YouTube to the point where Robin and his friend had this channel and it got up to 90,000 subscribers, which honestly isn't that bad. If you're an outsider looking in, you probably feel like, yeah, 90,000 subscriber channel, of course, they're doing awesome. But of course, as life started to get back to normal, the growth slowed down, the views dipped, and eventually the channel wasn't making enough money. It was no longer sustainable to the point where Robin's friend actually decided to retire from the channel completely. At this point in the story, Robin is already homeless, and so he was left with one of two choices. Either he can walk away from YouTube and try something else, or he can double down and do something radically different. That's where the idea of an extreme long-term challenge kind of came up, right? It wasn't going to be a one-off video that Robin needed to do. He needed something that was big enough to create a long-term story arc that would take months to complete, and something that viewers would want to follow all the way through. And so it was at that point Robin decided he was going to skate across the entire country of Japan. And instead of uploading that video, that series of videos, to his old channel, he decided to make a whole new channel that was dedicated to this journey of making it across Japan on a skateboard. He named the channel Nomad Push, and that's where our story today actually begins. From the very first upload, this channel makes a pretty clear promise. You get to come back day after day and follow somebody who's taking on a long-term challenge. And Robin met that promise. He was filming everything as he went, and that alone made sure his videos were entertaining. There was always something happening. But there was also another decision at play that Robin made early on that was really working in his favor. Instead of doing the channel in Japanese like his old skateboarding channel, with this channel, Robin decided to go all in on English. That one choice massively expanded his audience because now he wasn't just talking to the local skating community. He was talking to people curious about Japan, people interested in travel, people who really like long-form challenges, and people who really just wanted to follow somebody who took a long journey, who did something really impressive on YouTube. As Robin moved through Japan, viewers weren't just watching a challenge anymore either. Because he was speaking in English, he was appealing to a lot of viewers who had never been to Japan before. Because of that, people are getting this really interesting day-by-day look at this whole new place. Robin goes to internet cafes, he gets cheap meals, he visits rural neighborhoods, he has small interactions too that really never show up on like big international travel videos. This type of challenge series kind of solves a lot of classic YouTube problems all at once too. First, it gives the channel direction. Robin never had to wake up and ask himself, okay, what am I gonna film next? The next video was always obvious. Second is that this type of video creates a built-in storytelling machine. The stakes are ever present. Skating across an entire country is going to take a ton of time. It's very physically demanding, and Robin never knew when the challenge was going to end or
Storytelling is the key. If I was you, I would drop everything and I would start focusing on how to tell my story. Storytelling is the key. Focus on that storytelling.
where he was getting his next meal. Third is that content like this rewards viewers who return to watch more. If you watched yesterday's video, well then you should probably watch today's video because it's gonna build on everything you saw yesterday. When you post new videos and people are coming back for more every single time you upload, that's the kind of stuff that the algorithm eventually notices, and it absolutely loves it when that happens. And even with all of those things going right for Robin's channel, the growth was still pretty modest. It wasn't blowing up overnight. But then came the viral interview. A much larger channel featured Robin in a documentary about homeless people in Japan. The video reached millions of viewers, and literally overnight, Robin's channel did see some explosive growth with a whole bunch of new audience members coming over to check out what was going on. It's that kind of moment that so many small channels dream about, right? But it's also the kind of moment that can be completely wasted if not capitalized on correctly, because the virality of a moment on YouTube doesn't necessarily build your channel for long-term success. It's what happens next that really makes that determination. And in the case of Robin's channel, Nomad Push, turns out it was built for this very moment. Because when people clicked through to see the Nomad Push channel, they didn't see a slew of random uploads. They saw a clear challenge, entertaining content, and dozens of connected episodes that made sense when you saw them all together. So instead of sampling one video and then leaving, people watched yesterday's video, and then they watched the one before that, and then they watched the one before that, and then presumably, hopefully, they went back to the very beginning of the whole journey and then watched the whole series through. The interview itself didn't create the story. All it did was introduce it to more people. And this is where Nomad Push quietly does something that so many creators miss. Robin didn't change his content after the spike. He didn't go chasing the audience. He didn't pivot formats. He just kept uploading his challenge-driven content. What that meant for the audience is that they knew exactly what they were subscribing to. And what it meant for the YouTube algorithm is it knew exactly who to recommend the channel to next. That spike in views from that interview didn't confuse the algorithm, it just gave it more to work with. And it helps that Robin's content is so approachable to so many different types of people. Now, it's worth noting, if this interview happened a little earlier in Robin's journey, the success might not have held or hit the same way. But at the time it did happen, Robin had a few things on his side. He had the consistency, he had the backlog of content, and he had content he was making that was rewarding people for returning every single upload. So because the timing worked out so well, this spike of views, this exposure, actually became fuel and not pressure. But let's pause the story here for a second to fill in a bit of a plot hole. There's a question that was on my mind, certainly, and I assume some of you are asking it as well. Because attention doesn't pay for food, travel, lodging. So how did Robin manage to afford all of the stuff he was using to survive on this journey where he doesn't have a home and he's traveling across the country? And to answer that question, I'll just say there was a few things at play, and no, it wasn't simply YouTube ad revenue. The first layer of revenue came in the form of live streams, and from those live streams, super chats. Robin would stream regularly during really long stretches of the challenge, sometimes for hours, and these weren't really polished productions, they were just raw check-ins. Viewers could ask questions, follow progress in real time, and people felt like they were part of the journey as it was happening. During those streams, super chats became the first real source of income. Not massive money, but it was consistent. It covered daily expenses, it allowed the challenge to continue, and it helped the channel not have to chase viral moments for survival. This was also the earliest signal that people weren't just watching the content. A good number of them were willing to actually invest in the content. The next layer of revenue came in from channel memberships. Now, there was members-only content, but Robin always made sure that the core journey that he was on was never put behind any kind of paywall and always stayed public. His members-only content was simply longer updates, more personal reflections, and behind-the-scenes moments. Early on, the number of members to Robin's channel was small, but their impact certainly was not. A few dozen committed supporters reduced the financial pressure and bought Robin time to keep uploading consistently. The third layer was actually YouTube ad revenue, and once Nomad Push crossed all of the monetization thresholds to get there, the views scaled and the ads became more meaningful. By the time that ad revenue finally kicked in, the videos were already bingeable, the views were strong, and the audience was well defined. And then another quiet but actually really important layer to Robin's overall revenue came in the form of direct viewer support. Occasionally viewers would help with gear, transportation, and eventually the next phase of his overall journey, which I'll get to in a minute. But nowhere in that revenue stream did I mention brand sponsorships. All of this was community-driven moments. Viewers didn't feel like outsiders looking in. They felt like they were part of the journey. Robin wasn't relying on a single income source, and he was using everything he could to his advantage. But let's get back to the story, because Nomad Push at this point wasn't just a monetized channel, it was an evolving one. Because as Robin was getting towards the end of his skateboarding across Japan journey, he ends up making one of the smartest long-term YouTube content decisions of his entire career. After skating across Japan and reaching the end, that's it. The channel could just get stuck. There's nothing more to add. The story's over. But instead, he decided to expand things a bit. Through the random support of one of his followers, Robin was able to obtain a moped, and that single upgrade changed the scale of the entire channel. Suddenly he could travel farther, faster, and reach more places. And from that moment forward, the journey turned into something new. For viewers, this wasn't a channel pivot, it was the next chapter. Same person, same tone, larger map. And from there, the next evolution happened as well, because once income became a bit more stable and consistent, Robin was able to go from moped life to van life, which didn't end the story, it simply added yet another layer. The van wasn't just transportation, it was shelter and a workspace, and it came with a whole new set of problems. Van builds, daily logistics, long-term sustainability, and new challenges that simply weren't possible before. The core promise of the channel never changed. You're still following one person on an ongoing journey, but each upgrade refreshed the content without breaking the audience's trust. And that's the real advantage to Robin's strategy with Nomad Push. The channel isn't built around one viral moment or one extreme idea. It's built around the progression of the life that he's living. Every new chapter raises the stakes to keep things interesting, but at the same time, it's all still authentic. Robin has figured out a way to keep the story going, and that right there is the real takeaway. Nomad Push doesn't work just because of a skateboard, a moped, or a van. It works because every phase of the journey answers that question the viewers keep coming back for. What is going to happen to him next? As long as Robin continues to answer that question, there's no end in sight for Nomad Push. But Nomad Push isn't even the only creator we've talked about recently who's managed to make consistent success for themselves on YouTube. This video is about Suryat. Different niche, different personality, same underlying principle. Someone who took an extreme curiosity-driven challenge and turned it into YouTube growth. And if you click on this video, you'll see why some creator stories take off and some fade away.
Wow.
Enjoy.
Wow, you have to get into that. You have to. You got to get into it because the key thing is when you're doing your YouTube channel, you have to let the people know what is he gonna do next? What is she gonna do next? Curiosity makes the people keep coming back. And I'm gonna get on up out of here, man, because I gotta watch that next video. Y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.